Good afternoon everybody and welcome back to another edition of Thai Talk with Dan. Now on this channel we share your stories, telling everybody about the relationships that you've got involved in here in Thailand, from bar girls to freelancers to teachers and all sorts. We even have stories about the gay scene and about guys that want to mess around with a transgender here in Thailand. It all goes on. Now, I'm going to share two stories with you all today. One is about a guy that got hustled out of his money, but it's not left a bitter taste in his mouth and he's due to come back to Thailand again very soon. And the second story is about a guy that got took on a crazy taxi ride and then managed to stumble upon two freelancers that worked him over real good. So, without further delay, let's jump into the first Thailand story. Hi Dan, currently as I write this, it is all happening. I am 67, met a lady on a dating application 3 years ago. We video called every day. I was going through a bad time after being hit by a car and was thinking seriously about ending my life due to pain and not being able to sleep despite morphine-based painkillers. Soon, chatting with her made me feel that maybe life was worth living after all. It was during COVID and I was happy to send her small amounts of money, no more than 10,000 baht in total. As COVID restrictions ended, I stumped up 50,000 baht to help her open a hairdressing salon. I believed it could increase her previous salary from 10,000 baht monthly to 40,000 baht, and it did. I sent no more money and visited her 3 times last year. From the start, she always dropped big hints about money, but I just ignored them. Last week, she asked me to contribute 15,000 baht every month to allow her to move her salon to Ayutthaya. I said that I would contribute 8,000 baht. I had also booked a week's holiday for us in a 5-star hotel in Rayong. She told me that I was a frugal man with her and was mean. So I said goodbye. No holiday. No 8,000 baht every month. No salon to move. She then told me that she's been dating a younger FARANG. Dan, I am old but not stupid. I have no regrets as it felt genuinely good to help another person and her 2 children. I always kept my eyes wide open, and without meeting her, I would probably have died as she gave me something to live for. I have not let this put me off and will return to holiday in Thailand in 2 weeks. Life is for living. Cheers, John. Right guys, that was our first short story. Now on to a little bit of a longer story about a guy that headed south into Thailand and decided to jump into a taxi with a transgender that was a little miffed. And then he decided to go out on an evening and bumped in to 2 freelancers that none of you ever want to meet. So without further ado, let's jump into our second Thailand story. Hi Dan, I'm new to your channel but think it's quite entertaining and also of practical value for the fellas going out to Thailand. Therefore, I thought I'd share my little Thai story with you to be broadcast if you think it is any good. It's not especially long, so I don't know if it's any good for your content, but here we go. Anyway, my name is Chris Nicol. I'm a Scotsman, but been living in Australia for most of my adult years. The following is a story about just how mental Thailand can get, so one needs to be on their A game whilst visiting. Back in 2012, I got married to a crazy Russian chick after a recent separation from another wife of mine and subsequent divorce. It was difficult with her because the communication was poor. She never spoke English very well and the relationship wasn't going well. So I thought she was just using me to get her sponsorship. I did indeed sponsor her. I did this in order to get her residency into Australia. And it's not just the Thai chicks that do this. Anyway, after a big fight with her one night, I'd had enough and wanted to end the marriage because things weren't working out. So I decided to leave on holiday to go visit my parents in Scotland and then off to Thailand. I've been travelling to Thailand since 1998, so I knew the ropes and my way around there and had loved previous visits all around the country. I wanted to assess how I'd feel about continuing the marriage on my return, just to clear my head and think about things which probably, in retrospect, Thailand wasn't the best place for this, as I was on a highly emotional and in a slightly vulnerable mindset with low self-esteem to boot. So, I arrived in Phuket and headed to my hotel in Pat Pong, which was my first time there, and then the fun began immediately on the taxi rank at the airport. I grabbed a taxi and shared it with another guy I'd met on the plane in order to save a bit of cash. The driver was a young trans who couldn't speak any English or at least very little. En route, my new mate and I were having a laugh, talking about previous sexual exploits in previous visits to Thailand. But we were not disrespecting the driver in any way. Next thing I know, the driver starts going off as if we insulted him in some kind of way. He was shouting and going absolutely mental about something that we had said or done. The car started speeding up to high speed whilst driving through a built-up area with buildings and cars on either side of the road. I checked the speedo as I sat in the back. He was going nearly 100 miles per hour. No! I thought to myself, here we go. Dead before I even get to the resort. My friend and I were trying to calm him down and asked him to slow down when a roundabout appeared before us. My mate grabbed the steering wheel and prevented us from crashing straight into it. It was a very, very narrow miss and well saved by his quick reactions. Ironically, he was a taxi driver himself back in Glasgow, so probably used to situations like this one. After that, the taxi driver slowed down, thank God, and we lived to tell the tale. My new mate suggested we bash him when we stopped, but I just told him not to be stupid, that will just be out of the frying pan and into the fire. He took my advice, we paid our mental driver, and that was that. However, the tone was set for the rest of the holiday.
Shit just got real.
After that ordeal and dodging the proverbial bullet, I thought I needed a good stiff drink and a good de-stress. So I checked into my hotel, got a quick shower and change, and headed out to the town. After only just walking down the street from my hotel to Bangalore Road, I was literally accosted by several hot massage girls. I thought, just what the doctor ordered, and the debauchery ensued. I think it was about a couple of days later, after a bit of debauchery, I went into the Taipan nightclub. It wasn't there in 2019 when I returned again. There, I spotted a total young hottie just sitting on her own. So I went up to her and started chatting. She told me she was a freelancer and was up for coming back with me to my hotel. Just as we were about to leave, another chick came up and sat at the table with us. She was apparently a friend of the girl I was sat with and who was also very attractive. The two of them started playing each other off for me, which in retrospect was part of a tag team play move, I think. By then I was a bit drunk and said, "Look, girls, I think there's a way we can solve this problem. The two of you can come back to mine."
Yeah, boy.
Yes, my ego was flying high and I was thinking I'd be able to handle the two of them by getting a bit of a thruppence going on in the bedroom. We grabbed something to eat and I negotiated a special rate for the two of them, and off we went back to my hotel. Now, my hotel wasn't guest friendly and was charging 1,000 baht per guest, so I thought I'd sneak them in past the guard. That was my first mistake. We started getting down and dirty on the bed, bathroom, sofa, etc., etc., and a good time was being had by one and all. Until, before I knew it, I was waking up in the early afternoon, sprawled naked over the bed with the sound of the hotel patrons playing in the pool and my head absolutely banging with a hangover that would kill a lesser mortal man. I looked and there was no girls and no money in my safe. I realised then that I had been roofied, probably slipped it into my drink when I wasn't looking. They had relieved me of about 5,000 Australian in mixed denomination of pounds and Aussie in cash. They were good enough to have left me my credit cards and passport, so it could have been worse, I guess. I decided not to tell the hotel immediately as I'd sneak them in. And then it dawned on me. I can't ID them because they weren't signed in as guests and didn't leave copies of their ID cards with the hotel, as one should always do. I went to the police, but they said, yes, we can file a report and investigate it by going and looking at the hotel CCTV, but the fact that you have nothing else and the hotel might backcharge you for the two girls or even ask you to leave for sneaking them in. I reflected on this dilemma and decided that it probably wasn't worth it. Anyway, the cash would be well gone and they'd probably be out of town given the amount of cash it was. Yes, I was proper effed and it was totally all my fault. I went back to Scotland and on the way back stopped into Patong again to hook up with another hot bar girl I'd been seeing just prior to leaving. On a night out drinking with her, I went into the same nightclub again, the Taipan, scanning the tables, and who did I spot but the terrible twosome sitting there chatting up another unsuspecting potential victim. I went over and confronted them and warned old mate to be very careful as they drugged and robbed me 2 weeks before. There was a bit of an argument and then the security came over and told me to back down. The two of them sat there like they were totally innocent and butter wouldn't melt in their mouths. Geez, I was so angry, but at the same time just kept my composure as I knew there was zero I could do about it, and essentially I had been the idiot. I chalked that one down to experience at the end of the day, but it was a hard lesson learned, and guys should be aware that these smooth operators are out and about in these Thai party towns looking for drunk FARANG victims just like me. Hope you liked this little story. It's totally true. Kind regards, Chris Nickel. P.S. Thinking about coming over again soon. Be good to catch up if we happen to be in each other's vicinities. Cheers, Dan, and keep up the good work. Right, Chris, thanks very much for sharing your story with everyone that watches this channel. We've shared a couple of similar stories in the past with guys that have got with a few dodgy freelancers and it's cost them dearly. 5,000 Australian dollars is a lot of money to lose, and if you had no backup money or that was all you had, then it's going to be much more of a serious issue. But anyway, you don't want to be losing $5,000, and this story should act as a caution to people that are deciding to get involved with freelancers they happen to meet in nightclubs, on the side of the road, etc. If you take them back to your hotel, make sure they get their ID out and it gets scanned and printed at reception. This will act as a huge deterrent to stop that woman from doing anything unscrupulous in your room. Not too unscrupulous though, guys, eh? Also, this should teach you not to leave your drink unattended at any times. Never be too drunk that you lose your own common sense. In any country around the world, in any tourist hotspots, you're always going to get the odd bad person. Yeah, it's inevitable. And that bad person could definitely walk into your path when you're just picking up randoms from the street or the nightclub in this case. Also, in regard to the taxi ride, be very, very careful what you're talking about. You've got a Thai person in the front driving the taxi and you're speaking, going on about your past tales, what you've done to Thai women, etc. And you speak very fast. Now, if they understand a certain amount of English, they're going to pick up on a few things that you say and could get the wrong meaning of it. And that's why you got issues. So just keep stum in a Thai person's presence, and then when you're just around FARANGs or you're just with your mate, then you can talk about your previous debauchery. And in regards to the first story, before I go, guys, stop giving these women money. You might hear a sad tale and you think you're giving the money for the grace of good, and lo and behold, you find out it's gone to something extremely bad, like a new tattoo, money for gambling, money for drinking, money for spending on food for all their friends at the local seafood restaurant. Guys, it never seems to go on a good cause. So stop doing it. Stop giving these women money, because all you're doing is just whetting their appetite for the next guy in line. So, for example, if you pay someone 20,000 baht per month and start giving them lump sums of 50,000 baht, etc., they're like salespeople. They can see then, wow, if I tell this story, or if I start crying, or if I start going on, woe is me, then some silly foreigner is going to cough up the readies for me. So then they just go bigger and bigger and bigger and start getting more and more and more holiday boyfriends and just literally creaming it in. Some of these women are earning an absolute fortune and probably earning more than you.
Stop it. Get some help.
Right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I don't normally say this very often, but don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. Now, if you've got your own Thailand related story and you wish to share it on the channel, then as always, get your emails sent in to thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com. Hope all of you are safe and well and you had a great weekend. Hope the week's going good. Take it easy, guys. Look after yourselves and ciao for now. Bye-bye.